You can stop recording. The people who are in my related field, they are going to be evaluating the application. But there are other fellowships where you have just entirely different set of people who are not in your field evaluating your work. So I found out that part of the requirements were my academic accomplishment. Then they were also interested in the strength of my research proposal. They were also looking for if I had a potential for a career that will advance the institution. So, and then there was also this commitment to inclusion, equity, and diversity through teaching and research. So I thought all of that before I started writing my proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Akemi. And I think one thing that comes out strongly from your own approach at fellowship application was that courage, that boldness to put a mail across to your target fellowship, and you got a response. And I think that's very instructive. However, I'm not too sure one cap fits all in terms of doing the same thing to other fellowship granting bodies. Thank you very much once again. May I ask if Dr. Titus is ready for us now? Hello, Dr. Titus. Hello, Dr. Titus. Just unmute your... Dr. Titus, are you there?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
yes,
can you introduce yourself briefly, and then you go ahead to tell us, to share your experience of a specific fellowship application. Application, because I know, for example, that you are a recipient of several. So can you just introduce yourself to the panel and to the conference, and then share your experience? Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Are you hearing me, please?
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm so sorry. This is I'm in Nigeria now. I'm in Ife, so internet is actually fluctuating because I'm a musicologist. I teach in Obafemi Awolowo University and climatic musicology, and looking at issue of space and place, and and kind of looking at sound taxonomy, or kind of affective, looking at the nuances in relation to emotional narratives. So in terms of application for fellowships, I think major thing from the few I've won, I got ready. The major thing for me is the spirit of the proposal. I mean, the core. What are they talking about? What are they saying? All right. Before I even try to apply, I want to read what are they saying. And when it's not clear, like the first person said, or some of my colleagues, I try to write question. I ask them, is it what you are trying to say? This line is not clear to me. This is your call. Is this what you mean? All right. Is it part of what you are trying to say? Sometimes they say, this is the thing, but sometimes they say, yes, this is kind of what we want, this kind of thing. So you're not clear. You're not, and sometimes they may not answer. They may just say, this is the application, just apply. So what I find fascinating is that I try to find out specifically what they actually wanted. For instance, the casting fellowship I got, they want us to write about honeybee. Music is not actually honeybee, but how do you connect music with honeybee? So I try to find out. So I look at songs that talk about honeybee and kind of extra musical analysis about honeybee, and by God's grace, I was able to get the grant. I think I will stop here because of time, so that I can talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Titus. I think Dr. Titus is going the same path with Dr. Akinyemi in a way, and it seems to suggest that background check, if I may use that word, background check is necessary for target fellowship application. We may disagree, we may not, but if something has worked for someone, it is natural to beat one's chest and say, this is how to go about it. And I know that Dr. Titus is a veteran in that regard, so he knows what he's talking about. May I invite Dr. Ipadiola to also share our experience about a specific fellowship and how you went about it, and what you consider your winning strategy that you can share with the conference. Thank you.
Yes, like I said earlier on, and I'm an alumni of the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation in Germany. Also, I won a George Foster postdoctoral fellowship for ABH, for an ABH fellowship. They don't call at randomly or at specific times. Their call is always out there. And one thing I've observed is if you are trying to win their fellowship, their panel or selection committee meets twice a year. They meet in February and also in October. So be sure to put in your application well ahead of time. So timing is very important. And also, if you are working towards getting an ABH fellowship, especially that postdoctoral fellowship, they have two types of fellowships that are also divided into two categories. The first type of fellowship is a postdoc, which is for postdoctoral researchers, and the other one is for experienced researchers. So for their postdoc, there is an eligibility period there's a condition that must be fulfilled in order to be able to win it, and that's 4 years after PhD. Once your PhD is more than 4 years, you are no longer eligible to apply. So be sure that if you are targeting the postdoctoral fellowship, be sure to put in your application early enough before the eligibility period lapses. That is one thing to note. Also, another thing is to note that they have to, like I said, their fellowships are in two categories. They have what we call Georg Foster postdoctoral fellowship, or even for experienced researchers as well, which is for scholars from developing economies. They are aware of the challenges that scholars from Africa and the rest of the global South are facing. Like, and most of those challenges are they are fundamentally alien to scholars from advanced economies. Like, if you tell somebody now that I've not been able to get something done, maybe get my work done because there's not been electricity in my neighborhood for the past 2-3 days or even 2 weeks, the person is likely going to be thinking that what exactly is this person trying to talk about? These are challenges that they are not familiar with at all in some other places, especially in the global north. But we know what we are talking about, especially those of us from Africa and the rest of the global south, when we claim that scholars from these regions of the world face some challenges that are peculiar. So because of this, they are aware of this, and they know that it's going to be really, really difficult if they throw it open to everybody that scholars from Nigeria and scholars from the United States should come together to compete for for their fellowship. So because of that, they've categorized the fellowships. And so when you are applying, it is also possible as a scholar from Africa or from Nigeria or from wherever to apply for the regular fellowship. But that category is not really meant for you because the competition is more intense. There are so many people coming from different parts of the world for this. But for the other one, which is for scholars from Africa and the Middle East, the competition is not so much. And I would encourage anyone who is targeting their fellowship to go for that one. So timing is very important. Then writing a proposal, it is important to ask yourself, what are you contributing to knowledge? There are so many funders in the world that are funding researchers, that are funding groundbreaking research projects, but they are not going to throw their money away. You are not the only one who wants a fellowship, who wants to win a fellowship or grants. You are not the only scholar. There are so many scholars out there who are also working on getting the same opportunity. So ask yourself, what are you contributing to knowledge? Be clear that, okay, I have something important to do. I have something that I'm working on. I have something that I'm proposing. Then go ahead and write your proposal. It doesn't have to have anything to do with Germany. I must point this out. As a matter of fact, they encourage scholars from Africa to do something that addresses a problem within their locality. You don't have to do, it's also possible. If that is your approach, you are trying to look at something in relation to Germany, it's also allowed. It's not as if that is forbidden, but it's more important to look at a local problem, a problem within your region, within your locality. So that said, okay, and you could also draw a comparison or a nexus between something that is going on in Africa and a problem that they have in Germany or in Europe, but that is not compulsory. So another thing I would like to talk about is finding a host. This is fundamental. Without having a host, you cannot be considered for an AVH fellowship. You must get a German scholar that is ready to host you. This is very important. You must have a host, and you can contact people. Be sure to don't be afraid to write. I love what Dr. Akiyemi said earlier on, that she reached out. So reaching out is very important. There's some people that will be waiting that, okay, maybe I'll wait for someone to go to Germany and help me look around for a host. It doesn't always work out that way. Reach out. And one important thing, or one interesting thing about this whole issue is that many of these research institutes and universities not only in Germany, in Europe, in America, everywhere, they have vibrant websites where you could get more than enough information. If you are looking for information about a host, you will have the person's contact. Wherever you desire to, or you decide to reach out to, you find the person's contact information on the university's website. So reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. I think I've used more than enough time, but I think I'll stop here. I still have some other things to talk about, but if time permits, I'll come back to it. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah.
So thank you, Dr. Ikpadiola, and we all agree that she has taken a step forward in dwelling on other areas that we were supposed to talk about much later. I was hoping that panelists would speak directly to certain aspects of the application process of their specific fellowships. But be that as it may, let me take the place of a participant, and then I'll take the place of a chair now. Because two of our colleagues here are on-board fellows too, Dr. Titus and Dr. Ikpadiola, I think I can talk about other fellowships so as to balance the horizon. Although, in terms of scope and the breadth and the robustness of funding, the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation Fellowship is a very, very, very critical fellowship for scholars from the Global South, which simply means that they have more capacity and they grant more fellowships. But I will leave that aside. Our discussions may cross over to them, and then I will talk about how does one become a global scholar. In other words, how can you get a fellowship How can you get a fellowship? How can you be in the corner of your university in Guso or at Akwa Ibom or in Ife or at Oye Ekiti and you get a fellowship invitation or a fellowship award? The first thing that matters from my experience at least in the last decade is, what have you done to yourself? How have you been building yourself? Who do you associate with? What is your projection as a scholar? What do you hope to achieve? What is your purpose as a scholar? That understood, you now talk about how you are gradually building your profile. The truth of the matter is that, like Dr. Ikpadiola pointed out, no one wants to throw away their money. Funding bodies are funding applications for a specific reason, and you get the fellowships most of the time for the quality of your proposal and the quality of your profile. They want to know, they want to put their money where their mouth is. Okay, before I go ahead, I saw a notice now. Dr. Agina is present on ground at LSA. I don't know if she wants to talk. Let me finish my own mini presentation, then she can come forward to talk about her experience too. So I was saying that, granted that you have built your profile, you have identified your purpose, it's also important to do a scientific study of the fellowship you are targeting. What does this fellowship fund? Who do they fund? What is the scope of their funding? What is their target? I will use the African Humanities Fellowship as an example. It ended this year after about more than 10 years, consistent sponsor of fellows in Africa. For a fellowship like that, targeted specifically as scholars based in African universities who are either about to defend their PhD or who are postdocs, it is very clear that to be able to qualify for such a fellowship, you must fall within the target audience, the scope. Who are the people they want to fund? And one thing that matters about such a...
It's muted. Dr. Coker, are you there? Okay.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. They are usually very, 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 very purposeful. They have an objective. The objective is to train, for example, HP has or had an objective of training the next generation of early career scholars who are going to form the nucleus of the next generation of African scholars. That is one. The other aspect of this aspiration to be a global fellow or a global scholar is the quality of our work. The quality of our work. What are you putting on the table for someone to consider? To write a quality proposal, I am very, very sure that you need to reflect the depth of your reading, of your own study, especially in your area. So that I have discovered is that edge that panelists here and some others and several others even at this conference have that made them get fellowships beyond correspondence and beyond other minor things. There are other things that we may not know as applicants which go into fellowship applications. I'll give a last example before I ask Dr. Aguli to continue. Codestria if you have been a Postdoctoral laureate before, you will discover that as Postdoctoral, there is an agenda of ensuring an even spread across all parts of Africa. And they are also gender sensitive. So in that wise, it is possible that for a fellowship round or for a laureateship call, a gender, be it male or female, because they want to reflect that gender, someone whose proposal you might even consider not too fantastic may be successful in that application. All right. I've been to a Postdoctoral institute before where an applicant was chosen simply because he was the only applicant from Madagascar. And they hardly have applicants from that side of Africa. So other factors come into this politics of fellowship application. Let us move forward to also hear from our other colleague too about what makes her tick. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Coker. I hope those online can hear me. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much to the organizers of this panel. I'm also grateful to my fellow panelists for all they've shared so far, because some of them reflect my own experiences as well.
Yes.
I want to begin by, thank you. I want to begin by talking about the African Humanities Program that Dr. Coker just mentioned. Shortly after, yes, AHP, shortly after I finished my PhD, I was looking for another opportunity, like a postdoc or just some research grants to do to continue doing my research, this time on cinema audiences. But I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to research. So I stumbled on this AHP call. And when I read through it, I saw that they weren't looking for people in my own discipline as such. They were interested in peace building, right, and conflict. And so I dabbled into it because I thought, oh, there's money here, so this is a thing to do. I'm starting with it to tell you that that's not the thing to do. Not only did I not get that particular fellowship, I also wasted my time because I wasn't interested in peace building. For me, it was just about get money, get research grants. So that's a no-no. Identify your own niche. What is your own research interest, right? That's one, passion. Secondly, what are people willing to fund? My PhD thesis was titled Nigerian Filmmakers and the Construction of a Political Past. So I was interested in how Nigerian filmmakers were representing our history. When I finished that work, I realized that no one's going to put money into it. But while I was doing it, I saw that there was a shortage of cinema audience research, not just in Africa, but all over the world. So I decided to focus on cinema audience. So it also helped me to find my own niche. And then the second thing I did was to do a solid piece of research and publish it. And it's thanks to this conference in 2017, where I met Dr. Carly Coetzee, the editor of Journal of African Cultural Studies. I presented the little research I had done on cinema audiences in 2006, and she came to me and said, I want to publish that paper. And she published it in her journal, and her journal is Q1, high ranking. So that got me out. That sort of made my work known. Now, it's also very important to go to conferences because that's where you meet the people who will review your postdoc application, believe it or not. Conferences in Nigeria and abroad, as much as possible, try to go to conferences, use your own money. In the year that I went to conferences abroad the first time, I spent money, my own money to do it. No one was funding it. So I didn't buy shoes, I didn't buy hair, I didn't buy all of those things that women like to buy because I wanted to put the money aside for the conference. So that helped. Colleagues have also spoken about being proactive. We can't emphasize that more, right? We can't speak about it too much because a postdoc is not going to land on your lap, right? You have to go out for it. I wrote to countless people. As soon as I knew that I was interested in cinema audience research, I started writing to scholars abroad who I thought could help me either get a postdoc or get the grants to do that research. I wrote to countless people. At the same time as I was writing and reaching out to these people, I stumbled on a research training program by the British Council, which was titled Researcher Connect. It just gathered Nigerian academics together at the British Council office in Ikoyi, and there was an expert who trained us on how to write proposals. And she gave us templates on how to do it. I took that, hugged it, went home with it, sat down, and I used that template to write a proposal. I submitted the proposal to Cambridge University and it was shortlisted. But in the final stage, I was disqualified because they wanted to see samples of my writing, right? At that time, my cinema audience research had not been published, okay? So when they Googled me, they probably didn't find a lot. So do solid research, publish it, keep a professional profile. Whenever anybody receives your application, the first thing they would do is to Google. They would Google you, right? So if they don't find anything about you that's professionally done, your work, your conferences, where you've been, what you're tweeting, not just your pictures on Instagram. If they don't find things about you online, chances are that they may not. Let me digress a little bit. Once I applied for conference money, just money to take me to the UK for conference and back. It wasn't a postdoc. And after several months, I didn't hear from them again. So I wrote to say, what's happening? I applied for this. Do you remember my application? And they said, oh, we'll get back to you. 2 weeks later, Google told me, you know, there's a way that Google can tell you if someone has researched you, yeah. Right? So Google said, someone has just looked for you online. And I thought, hey, what did I do? So I clicked on that and I saw that the person had Googled me from Cambridge, UK. Less than an hour after that Google, I got an email to say that we can give you the funding for this conference. So please keep a professional profile online because that's where they would look for you. All right, it's very important to do that. And then in terms of being proactive, you have to write to people, tell them what you want to do, be very specific, but also be very polite. We need to realize that no one owes us. Nobody owes me a postdoc. No one owes me her time. So when you write that email making inquiries, please be exceedingly polite and thank them immensely for their time. I wrote to a lady back then who's called Professor Lindiwe Dovey at SOAS University of London to tell her that I wanted to conduct research on cinema audiences. And if she could find a place for me at her university, I would be so grateful. The window was very short because I was also hoping to benefit from a British Academy grant call that was open. So she said, oh, this is too short. We're not going to be able to do this time. Years later, this professor attracted a €2 million grant from the European Research Council, and she was looking for someone to do Nigerian cinema audiences, and she came to me. But that's because I had written to her years ago. I had met her in conferences. I had interacted with her. She's very prestigious. There are people there in the UK who review applications on screen studies, right? So she'd seen my work, she'd heard me, and then when she had this opportunity, she sought me out. All right, so it's important to go to conferences to do this. Now that Said is here, I must thank him so much because I got known through the LSA. The LSA is the best conference in Nigeria today. If I hadn't come to the LSA in 2017, and that time I was living, I won't say Lagos Island because it's not like you're beyond. If I hadn't come here then, if I was thinking, transport money, how will I do it? And this and that, right? If I hadn't come here, Dr. Kali Koesi would not have seen me to say, I want that paper. And I thought it was just something of the moment. No, but after the conference, she insisted, I want to publish that paper, right? And it was thanks to her that I got that publication out. So please do solid research, publish it, go to conferences, then write that proposal. You will be rejected several times, okay? Don't think that the first time will be the successful time, no. But don't stop to lick your wounds and think, oh, I was rejected. No, rejection is part of a game. If you don't get rejected, it's because you're not trying enough yet, all right? There will be many rejection letters. Just read them and ask for feedback. Some will be kind enough to give you feedback. Some will tell you, oh, we don't because we received hundreds of applications. That's fair enough. But take that learning, whatever it is, and move on to the next proposal. And I'm sure that you'll get what you want in no time. Thank you so much. You're muted, Dr. Coker.
Thanks for that kind words.
Thank you, sir. We owe it all to you.
I wasn't expecting them.
Okay,
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I think I'm live now. So I was saying that I appreciate your comments and then your educating us. Now the time is we are less than 20 minutes to the end of this panel. I would like us to prepare our parting words. Before I try to summarize what the panel has been trying to say, we want to make a point.
Yes.
Oh. Parting words. Does someone have a question? Yes. Well, maybe I will stand in for him while he's away. I don't know what colleagues here think. Please ask your question. Yep. Yes, sir.
Hello. Okay. Hello.
Yes, Dr. Tyson.
Okay. Although not question, just a little addition to what I've said before. I don't know if I can say something in addition.
Please go ahead, Dr. Tyson.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the privilege once again. Several of us, we've said several things about different applications and the processes, and I mean, how do you apply, and then conducting the research and the rest. From personal experience, about 30 travel grants and several research grants, fellowship, Oxford fellowship, recent Leventis, Charter City, African Humanities Program, Ford Foundation. I got Andrew Mellon, I got Constant City. I'm doing Humboldt. So after Humboldt, I have another one. Humboldt is ending September next year, but I got one already that is I'm going to do after the Humboldt. So what I see in all this is this ability to look at what is actually raining. What is the market saying? What is academic market? What are we saying? What are we selling? Okay, music might be the last thing people want to think about. What is title selling? You gain about 10 fellowships, more than 30 travel grants thereabout, and several other grants. So the issue is that sometimes it is not what you like, but what is sellable. You may like to, like Dangote doesn't like to eat. It's not that he like to eat salt. That's why he's selling salt. No. Dangote is not that he likes salt. No. Because salt is selling. All right. Why should I write about honeybee? Normally, I would say this is not musical, but there's a way I can. In fact, I publish it. All right. Oxford, I wrote about oil and gas. What is music doing with oil and gas? There's no relationship in the face value. But I got the grant, I got the fellowship. All right. Currently, I'm working on infrastructure and urbanism. What is that has to do with music? But Humboldt gave me the fellowship. All right. American Council of Learning Society. I also work on another way. Ford Foundation, I work on ecofeminism, in Niger Delta. And Ford Foundation gave me the grant. Andrew Mellon, I work on crude oil, sounding the oil, looking at physical activities, all right? This simulation, looking at the sound and sounding it. So it is like Dangote is having what do you call it? Oil. It doesn't mean it's not that he like petrol, but that is the selling thing. What you are doing may not, what you have interest in, may not, it may not be selling thing, and they will not take you because, for instance, let me give an example. In musicology, people want to do analysis, melodic, harmonic, But that is not selling. What is selling is how do you bring music to societal things that are happening in society, right? You know, even currently now, I'm actually working on how do you install sound to solar cars. That is my next project. It's not just being theoretical, but how do you, if I'm able to install sound to 1,000 cars, I will get at least some amount. So it is what is selling. So sometimes you have to go outside what you are, yes, within, just bring it. So that's what my research is. I'm into ecology, I'm into peace building, I'm into medical musicology. So we must be able to, and be able to, be able to link all these three together, what we call human and planetary, musicology. So these are the issues that we have, like AHP, and people will be willing to give you. People are ready to give you money. In fact, now I'm doing fellowship in Constance. I'm getting calls from several places. Please come and talk about your project. Now I have workshop plans, and I want to really thank God for Kali, because he actually opened my eyes and my mind in 2014 when I was in SOAS, and she gave me materials and also kind of brushing, really training. That's the, but that one kind of paradigm shift in my thinking, critical thinking and critical writing that led to critical,
I'm sorry, Dr. Titus. I'm sorry to interject. We have just 10 minutes to go.
Fantastic publication. I think that should be.
I'm sorry,
the point.
Dr. Titus. I'm sorry. We have just 10. We have just 10 minutes to go. Can you hear me?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, sir. We are hearing you.
Thank you, Dr. Titus. I went offline. We all know the reasons they are fluctuating. So could we we have just 10 minutes now. I will ask Dr. Akemi and Dr. Ikwadiola to talk to us in just two minutes, so that I can round up and
can you mute all
close
of
the
them
panel.
so I can talk to him? Dr. Coker, please. We have till 12:30. We have till 12:30 for this program, please. So we have time. May I suggest also that we please take questions from the audience? We have a full room here, and there are people who want to ask questions. If you don't mind, sir, please.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know we have up to 12:30. My schedule says 11 to 12.
No, it's 12:30.
It's 12:30, sir. 12:30.
Okay, that's fine. What we can do now is let us round up our own aspect now and move after 12 to the question and answer segment, and then we'll come round to ending it. So that means Dr. Ikwadiola and Akemi can take 5 minutes. But before then, I was going to make 2 points. The first point was the point of starting small, the power of starting small, which means that it is not just enough to just attempt to apply for a fellowship. If you are starting out as a scholar, there are smaller things. We heard Dr. Agwili talking about British Council Researcher Opportunity, Researcher Link workshops. There are other smaller things. You attend conferences, you attend funded conferences, you attend funded workshops. These are things that build you up and build your profile for visibility, and then you'll be able to understand the language of research, contemporary research, as you go ahead. That is number one. The second thing is the power of peer review. The power of peer review. No one is an island. And I know that for every successful application, those proposals must have passed through the hands of 1 or 2 people. They could be our supervisors, they could be our colleagues, they could be other experienced people within our system or outside our system. Those efforts, they go a long way. And the third thing is coping with rejection. Coping with rejection. Rejection is the name of the game. For every successful application, if you tell your admirer the truth, you have had scores and scores of rejection. So as you are ready to savour the the beauty or the spectacle of victory, also be prepared for the demoralizing email that will always write to you to regret to inform you. Those things are very, very, very natural and normal with the business. So I will call on Dr. Ikpadiola now, and then after her, Dr. Akemi, before we move to questions and answers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I would like to also say that for an EVH fellowship, 3 things are important. The publications, as it has been mentioned already, your publications, your list of publications, that's very important. In fact, I had to give it some time to work on that, because for some of us, they tell us that while you are a doctoral student, you should face your PhD, let every other thing wait. If you are planning to get a postdoc fellowship, what you have to do the two. Let the two go together. Let there be that you are working on your PhD, and at the same time you are getting your work published. It is very important. Then getting a host, like I mentioned earlier on, that is also crucial. And then writing a very good proposal. So I will now talk about benefits. There are so many benefits, so many things you stand to gain if you it has been mentioned. It's not just about the fact that they are funding your research. They are funding your research. They are not imposing any conditions on you on what to do. That is for ABH. They are not the ones who will tell you that this is what you must work on. You are at liberty to do whatever you like, whatever you want. They sponsor every kind of research. So they are sponsoring your research. They're going to pay you, and for the number of months you stay in Germany, you're also free to come with dependents. That is, with your family. You could come along with your spouse, with your children, if they're not up to 18 years of age. So those are parts of the benefits. So, and also networking. It helps to network, to build your, to be able to reach out to people, to get in touch with people, because there are conferences that are held, there are workshops, there are programs that go on, that they plan and execute while you are doing the fellowship, while you are in Germany for the fellowship. So it has so many benefits. It gives you so many benefits. And also, like you have been told, generally for proposals and also for writing proposals for fellowships, it is important to know the requirements, the conditions, the terms that are attached to each fellowship program, what the funders want to fund and what you are trying to do, how to balance the two. So this is very important. So I wish everyone the very best. If there are questions, I'll be more than happy to address them in relation to this. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Okay. So I would like to talk about briefly about the proposal writing. It's very important to understand clearly the instructions and guidelines for writing. Very important. Some will tell you number of pages, some will tell you, ask you to write number of words. So it's important to understand that you know, I was writing, I had to really take time to read and read and read to be sure I understand what I'm expected to do. Then I had to also ensure that I understood what the discipline that is being granted the fellowship, that is being funded, like Dr. Ikpadiola said. You know, and very important is your title, because they have over there in the West, they have seen a lot of titles, they've seen a lot of topics on research. They have, so what I did was I focused on Africa in framing my title, and on the area that has limited research. I focused on female athletes, health, in Africa, you know, comprising nutrition, reproductive health, and bone health. So because you are not able to recycle what is widely known already. No, you are to be unique in your own work. So your work should be unique, not copy and paste, because these people can actually tell when your work is original. Yeah. So it has to be very clear. Then take time to look at your background. Be sure you are talking about the problems and your limitations, the things you want to do. I think that will interest them so much. And then we're talking about networking. I really thank God that I came across LSA after my PhD. And for the first conference I attended of LSA, I was not a registered participant. I just went there like an observer, and I love what I saw. I was like, no, I'm not going to sit. I became restless at that point. I started putting my work out, you know, and I seeking opportunities to attend conferences, wrote papers, published them. You know, I also had to get involved with social interaction, which is very important. But I always like to emphasize that talking about networking, it has to be organic. Make it organic, meaning it has to be relational. So you have you relate to it. So you don't just come out of the blues and say, because I'm interested, I have to this person, and you begin to ask questions from there. Developed a relationship, very, 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 very important. And finally, I just want to talk about the benefits, you know, so far, and I'm gaining the hands-on experience I need to reposition my career direction. I'm gaining the confidence that I need to make my dream career a reality. And I hope to stand out as a candidate for jobs and promotions. I'm also developing cross-cultural competency and awareness. I'm developing an international professional network already. So currently, as I speak, I have a cohort of professionals where we exchange ideas and learn from one another. So my sense of self to clarity and to clarify my purpose is being strengthened. The truth is, I am not the person I used to be like 2 years ago. A whole lot has happened around me, and I'm really happy for that. I'm impressed for that. So I'm able to also test drive new career paths to see if they are right for me before taking the leap. And I have realized that I am that one person that really can make a difference. Oh yes, I can make a difference. You can make a difference. It doesn't matter where you are, can make a difference. I just want to encourage you, take that leap. Don't be afraid of rejections. They will come. I had several rejections. I didn't give up. So don't give up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like now to ask for questions. You could either target everyone on the panel or a specific panelist. Questions?
There is a hand up online first. Ebenezer Ekpo.
Welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really excited.
You can continue.
Hello.
Yes, continue, please.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Continue, please.
And it's so painful that I can't be here in person, but I'm going to say that everything that is being said is something I can really relate with, especially in terms of rejection. I feel so discouraged and, pissed off kind of about the whole thing. And I just told myself, instead of spending so much time, like I can remember last year, I was just applying, writing, showing my mentors and all the rest. And this was really draining. And I discovered that I could not even sit down to do my research again, because I was just trying to apply for fellowship and all the likes. So when all those no's came, I was just like, I beg, let me just concentrate on my research and just rest. At least I need my research for promotion in Nigeria, So what I'm trying to say is that I was really, really discouraged. I was really this end, but I'm glad all this word of encouragement have really motivated, as in stirred me up again. And seeing women, Dr. Title is somebody I know, and we've been comfortable now. Seeing women making impacts, succeeding in their applications and making waves. I think I'm really happy to be here, and I will really appreciate if I can, Dr. Sharon, I'm talking to Dr. Ipadiola and the others that I can't mention their names now. So it's really exciting to be in LSA. I met LSA in Birmingham and I'm excited. Thank you.
So, thank you. I think we have other questions. Can you indicate if you want to ask us a question? If I may react to the last speaker about rejection and being demotivated, one thing that is very, very, very clear is this: no one sets out on this journey and become a winner overnight. You must be prepared to go the whole hog. And then you must identify people who can add value to your journey. You learn from their experiences and you pick from their experiences. And there's also a rule of copying. This is not plagiarism. Copying. Copy is an aspect of advertising. Copywriting is another aspect of advertising, which tells you that you can actually learn from what others have done in terms of titling, in terms of structure of work, in terms of the idea, the whole look and feel of their proposals. So if you go about those things, you are going to end up, or you are going to be a better schooled applicant. There are no magic to it. For you to write a successful proposal for competitive international applications, you need to learn the nitty-gritty of proposal writing. And those things are hardly taught in our day-to-day engagement as scholars. Another thing that we need to know that issues out from your discussion, last speaker, was what your frustration made you decide to do. That you decided to focus on your career, focus on your career trajectory, publications or promotion. I tell you, and I put it to you that most of the people on this panel and several others who have gone through this and are also who have modest success stories to tell, have evolved a sense of balance. You need to have a sense of balance when you want to be globally competitive. In other words, you are actually supposed to be involved in everything. For example, for some of us who are already at the professorial level, you are expected to also be a mentor in your institution. You have to supervise doctoral candidates. You have to participate in administration. So what you need to do is to have a sense of balance. You must balance the activities, applying for fellowship, participating in conferences, applying for workshops and participating, publications, and of course, mentorship. I just thought I should add that. So we also encourage more questions.
I want to appreciate all of the speakers. There's an important issue I would like to discuss about the interview. When you are finally shortlisted for doctoral program, what is expected of you, or how do you prepare for the interview? Yeah. But I can interview, so I can share some experiences. So nice. Someone has asked a question about interviews. How do you prepare for the interview? Assuming you've been shortlisted for a postdoctoral program, how do you prepare for that? So in my own case, when I was told that I would be interviewed, they told me the people, the individuals on the panel. So what I did was research each of them, right? So I Googled them to have a sense of what work they do, what they had published, what was expected of me. And I also prepared some questions for them. So first, I knew about the program itself I was applying to. Secondly, I knew about each individual. In my own case, it was the Dowie herself, the owner of the big brand, who was recruiting, and a colleague of hers called Belleville. He is into music research. And then there was an admin person, someone from HR. Right, because HR would also want to ask you questions. We are going to recruit you from there. And because they were recruiting me to relocate, they also asked questions about relocation. Do you have any problems about relocation, and so on and so forth? So I read widely. I read a lot about the institution, right, when it was founded, what it stands for, what it represents, what kind of crisis it has been, what kinds of programs it opens itself up to, and so on. So that kind of background information is hugely important. You need to do that. Then I knew something about each one, so I sort of established contact with each of them as we started in the interview. And then after the interview, they asked me if I had any questions, and I had a list of 5 questions for them. The last thing you want to do is to say, no, I don't have any questions. Present yourself as an unintelligent person. If you don't have questions for your interviewer, right? So I had 5 questions for each of them. Some I had to invent there and then because I hadn't thought about it. If you ask me a question, I think that I should also ask you the question, because for them, the process of thinking of an answer for you tells them that you're an asset. We need someone who's thinking critically. We need someone who can think on their toes. We need someone who projects the institution or the program or project as well as we want. So when I asked them the question, in fact, there was a question I asked them, and they looked at one another and started laughing. I asked, what, apart from the interview, what are your expectations of me? What are your specific expectations of me? Because I want to manage the expectations well. I use the term that I had just learned at that time to sound a little because I want to handle the expectations management as properly as you want. And they looked at one another and laughed, and they started to start really. They didn't know the answer at that time. So I said to myself, I think I have got the strategy. I don't know if
well, thank you very much. I don't know what the technical crew can do for us. I for example, did not actually hear the last question that you were responding to. So more questions, please.
I think either Tolu, Alakeji, or Pelu Folachmi can ask the questions.
Yeah, Pelumi, you are recognized.
Okay, thank you very much. I was impressed by the presentations.
Sorry, Pelumi, please introduce yourself. Sorry, I know you, but introduce yourself. Thank
Pelumi
you.
Folajimi is my name. I teach in the Department of Dramatic Arts, Obafemi Awolowo University. Dr. Akinyemi raised the subject of rejection, and that seems to have dominated the responses so far. And that was actually the subject I wanted also to address, but it has been well addressed. So let me contribute a minute intervention to that discussion. Rejection is certainly determined by a lot of factors. If you are rejected, it is not because you did not put up a fantastic application. Sometimes it is because of the competitive nature of the grant or fellowship you are applying for. Opportunities are very competitive. Before you apply, you should know that opportunities are very competitive. Thousands or hundreds of applications will come in for just 5 positions. There are 5 positions, and there are 200 applications. So we are aware that in such a situation, the organizers cannot meet up with the interest of everybody. Just a few will be given the opportunities, and the others will be told to try the following year. We should know that opportunities are very competitive. When you apply for them, just keep it at the back of your mind that you may be accepted and you may be rejected. The fact that you are rejected does not mean your application is weak. It sometimes means that it is very competitive and everybody cannot be given the opportunity. Then you try again. That should not discourage you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pelumi, please, can we have the other question from the other person? Thank you.
The question from here, please. Please call present. Thank you very much. I have a...
Hello, can you hear me?
Sorry, Tolu, we'll come back to you. Okay, I'm Elizabeth.
Tolu Alakeji.
Sorry, sir, someone is already asking a question here. She's standing. All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Elizabeth Anthony from Ignatius University of Education, Port Harcourt. I have the following questions, please. Very brief. One, then to Dr. Titus. I read your work on echomusicology, and that has prepared me to start researching on neurophysiology in music. And I'm sure you'll be there to guide me right. So I want to ask that it's like topics or researches are going into multidisciplinary area. Am I right? That's the first question. Then I want to also ask, when we're talking about who is applicants for fellowship, and I heard university, is it only based on university researchers, or it's cut across every level? Maybe you are from college, tech, and all of that. Then the third question, I'd like to ask how to create a proposal page. All of us are not computer literate, and we have come to this very training. I will appreciate if we can be guided, or maybe there are experts out there that will later teach us or guide us on how to create a page and what is expected to be posted there, so that the people in the global world can see our work. I think I will stop on this, and briefly, how to get a catching topic for such an application. Thank you very much.
Dr. Titus, over to you.
Thank you very much for the fantastic question. Are you hearing me, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. The issue of scholarship and area of focus is critical. I mean, in winning and gaining global visibility, all right, and maybe in feasibility if possible. And like you mentioned, ecomusicology is actually ecology and musicology, which is kind of climatic musicology. But musicology or music therapy, which you have mentioned, and they can actually be trajectories, kind of nuances connected. They actually, we call it ecomedicology. Is the kind of terms we are trying to some new theories and conceptualization we are trying to develop, from these African point of view. They are actually connected, but that this is still a kind of new, but I'm sure. Yeah, I know we have been persecuted, but we soon overcome when they see the grant by the time. Yeah, the secondly too, that you're in college doesn't mean you cannot win. I was in College of Education when I won. When I was in college, I won several grants. When I was teaching in college, so I won Leventis when I was in College of Education. I won Infra Fellowship when I was in College of Education before I moved to university. I won several travel grants while in college. So whether you are in college or poly, you can win. What is important is what you are selling, your product, or the packaging, without being padded. Even if not to pad it logically, that will be accepted. All right. So that is what is critical. And the issue of multidisciplinary, actually, like I said, musicology, when you talk about musicology, people think it's just to dance and sing and say, you're a dancer, are you a singer? What instrument do you play? It's far more than that. It's the ability to actually engage those performativity or performing at the text I mentioned before, taxonomy of sound and multidisciplinary looking, right? And maybe cultural studies too. Yeah, like I don't know if I've answered this question, but I think this is what I can see for now.
This is a trend for on the website. Yes. Also, the French professional work and website page will work the LinkedIn, there's LinkedIn, there's academia, there's useful, there's research days, and all. I know something I just quickly go to professional page.
Hello, are you hearing me at all? Hello.
Because you don't have a web site when you come to a fast new file there, you to do that also. And then the way I follow everything. So that's all the next one is to take them to that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Titus. If I may add,
yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Add to the person that asked the question and to all of us and to the audience, we are scholars. I know that Dr. Titus is talking about marketing of ideas, but generally what we should be really of as scholars is that scholarship thrives on the supremacy of ideas. Unique ideas tend to travel far. Everyone will pause to reflect and think about a new idea or an old idea brought in a refreshing way. How do you now come about a new idea, or how do you refresh an old idea? It is simply by staying on top of your game, of your discipline, and of allied disciplines. It is simply knowing how to put your discipline or location as a scholar in conversation with what is going on. One specific example now is this. Generally, we know that what's going on in the contemporary society is about climate change or climate action. That is the topical issue going around now. As a scholar, you need to find your location in this global discourse, and that is the kind of thing provides you a unique idea, hence a unique selling proposition. There is no way you can speak on an issue or a topic from your discipline without knowing what is going on in the discipline. What are the discussions? What are the conversations around that issue in your discipline? So I will encourage aspirants and people who are interested in furthering their career and trajectory as globally mobile scholars to also up their game. Let us up our games in terms of reading what is happening. We have an example, and I'm not patronizing Professor Adenito. Said's career typifies what we call unique ideas. Still being in the same discipline of history. All of us know what he has been able to do, being a historian of Africa, but at the same time, he has brought unique subjects into the discourse of African history. All his publications, all his books, and even his current book, that his current group project on Fuji, they are all unique ways of addressing research. So anyone who wants to be visible, anyone who wants to be known must be ready to do something differently. I will use the words of Ben Okri, the novelist, who says, if you think differently, you will change your world. So it is this thinking differently that make us unique. The technical people say they have said we have 7 minutes to end this session. So I want us to reflect over the things that we have said in this session. One of the first things that came up clearly was you need to your profile as a scholar. No one awards his fellowship or invest on someone that may not likely give them ROI, return on investment. And the returns on investment for scholarship is publication and knowledge production. What are you adding to knowledge? We have also mentioned the fact that rejection is part and parcel of the game. If you want to win, you must be ready for rejections. And I dare say that for most of us, the rejection rate versus the winning rate, I'm sure the rejection rates will be higher. And number 4, we must also be conscious of the fact that as scholars, we wear multiple caps. First and foremost, employees, and we have primary responsibilities in our places duty. So we must learn how to strike a balance among all these contending areas. And finally, the place of peer mentorship or peer review cannot be overemphasized. Do not think that you are an island unto yourself. If you write a proposal, identify people who could add value to your write-up within or outside your immediate locality. And on this note, may I thank, on behalf of the members of this panel, all our panelists, Dr. Akinyemi, Dr. Padiola, Dr. Titus, and of course, our ambassador on ground in person of Dr. Aguli. We are grateful to have all of us on this panel, and we are grateful to the audience. We encourage the audience to reach to us either individually or through the LSA. We will be happy to answer your questions. I want to assure you all that for everyone, there is a fellowship for everyone. On this note, I want to say thank you for having us. Thank you for the opportunity of hosting this panel. I wish LSA and the rest of us very well in our endeavor and in our aspirations. Thank you very much, and bye. Thank you.